Ladies and gentlemen, we need to have a serious chat. The question on everyone's mind right now is, who on earth is running this country? Because it sure as hell doesn't seem like it's our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese. His handling of national security, his stance on China, and his failure to call out blatant threats have left Australians wondering if he's even up to the job. And if you think I'm exaggerating, just wait till you hear this. The latest revelation has exposed a shocking blunder that could have put lives at risk, one that the Prime Minister tried to sweep under the rug. But, as always, the truth has a way of coming out. So buckle up, because this is one you don't want to miss. Now, let's take it back to last week. The Chinese Navy decided to conduct a live-fire military exercise in the Tasman Sea, just outside Australia's exclusive economic zone. Sounds serious, right? Well, here's the kicker. Our government had no idea it was happening. The only reason we even found out was because a Virgin Airlines pilot overheard a radio transmission and alerted authorities. Let that sink in for a moment. A commercial airline pilot, not the Australian government, not our Defence Force, was the first to hear about a foreign military exercise taking place near our airspace. Now, when the news broke, you'd think the Prime Minister would come out swinging, demanding answers, standing up for our national security, maybe even summoning the Chinese ambassador for an explanation. But instead, Albanese did what he does best, dodged responsibility. In a press conference, he claimed, and I quote, China issued in accordance with practice an alert that it would be conducting these activities, including the potential use of live fire. In other words, he assured the public that there was nothing to worry about because we had been notified in advance. Except, that was a complete and utter lie. Because when Defence Force Chief Admiral David Johnston fronted Senate estimates, he confirmed what many already suspected. Australia was not given prior warning. The only notification came from that Virgin Airlines pilot, a full 28 minutes after the live-fire exercise had already begun. That's not just inadequate, it's downright unacceptable. And yet, rather than admit his mistake, Albanese doubled down, passing the buck to the Defence Department, refusing to answer direct questions, and leaving Australians in the dark. And this isn't a one-off. This is a pattern. Weak on national security. Weak on antisemitism. Weak on standing up to China. Weak. And it's costing us. Think about it. China just waltzed into our backyard, fired off weapons without giving us a proper heads-up, and our Prime Minister shrugged it off like it was no big deal. Imagine if the tables were turned. Imagine if the Australian Navy conducted a surprise live-fire exercise off the coast of China without informing them first. You think they'd just let that slide? Not a chance in hell. So why are we letting them get away with it? The answer is simple. Albanese doesn't want to ruffle any feathers. He'd rather play nice with Beijing, keep his head down, and hope nobody notices what's really going on. Well, guess what? We noticed. And we are not buying the spin. Even within his own government, cracks are starting to show. Some MPs are privately fuming, wondering why the Prime Minister is taking China's word over our own Defence Force. And the Australian public? They are not happy either. People are waking up to the fact that Albanese isn't the strong leader we need in times like these. Now, to make matters worse, this all comes at a time when tensions in the Indo-Pacific are already running high. We've got growing concerns over China's aggression in the South China Sea, increasing military activity around Taiwan, and now, blatant disregard for Australia's security. And yet, instead of standing tall, Albanese is copping it sweet. He's ducking, weaving, and doing everything in his power to avoid taking a firm stance. So, let me ask you, what kind of message does that send? If the Chinese government can get away with this now, what's stopping them from pushing the boundaries even further? What happens next time? Because make no mistake, there will be a next time. And if we don't take a stand now, we'll be seen as nothing more than a soft target. Australians deserve better. Our Defence Force deserves better. And our national security should never be an afterthought. It's time for Albanese to step up, show some backbone, and start putting Australia's interests first. And if he can't do that, maybe, just maybe, it's time we started asking if he's the right bloke for the job. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, because the mainstream media sure as hell won't be telling you the truth about this one.